Welcome back to the Pageant Project, everyone. My next guest is Rebecca West. She is a senior at Frostburg State University, where she proudly serves as a cheerleader and an advocate for meaningful community engagement. As the reigning Miss Maryland volunteer, she uses her platform not just to serve, but to lead with heart and purpose. Her Serve initiative, Forget Me Not, was inspired by her grandfather's battle with dementia. Through this heartfelt mission, she has raised over $6,000 to support Alzheimer's and dementia patients and their families. She creates meaningful moments by organizing interactive events in care facilities, with her favorite being tap dancing with residents in nursing homes, bringing joy, music, and movement to those who need it most. Rebecca is passionate about promoting the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization and its commitment to service, education, and empowering young women to become leaders in their communities. Well, Rebecca, that's a lot. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing so good. How are you? Thank you for that introduction.
Well, that's your bio. It's true. Why don't you catch everyone up with what life has been like since you've had that beautiful crown placed on your head? It's been just over maybe 2 months, or maybe it's exactly your 2 month crown anniversary. I'm not sure. But what has life been like?
Oh, I was crowned on August 2nd, and life has been such a whirlwind since being a full-time student and collegiate athlete, and just balancing all those roles to be the best title holder I can be has been a really good challenge. And I'm just excited to be here chatting with you. And every single time I get to put this crown on my head, I still get emotional just because I'm so excited for the year ahead.
On that subject, why don't we go straight into your crowning moment? I told you I'm going to get you to walk us through this. So, walk us through what you were. It obviously meant something to you, if you can see that. So, walk us through this, Brooke. Walk us through what was running through your mind at this moment, or
Oh.
perhaps you just blacked out.
Yeah, to be so honest, really don't know fully. I love Brooke, so being able to be crowned by Brooke was just so amazing, and I love her so much. But I cannot recall the last like 5 minutes, even leading up to my crowning moment, because I was so excited, so nervous, and I knew that I put everything out on that stage, and I was so at peace knowing I did everything I could and was true to myself. So when I was there with my girl Bridget, I had no thoughts in my head. And then I heard my name, and that's never happened before. So for me to become that state title holder, I was so emotional. As you can see in the video, I'm sobbing and just profusely thanking the judges because I was so grateful that they saw that I was able to lead the state.
When did you realize, like, when did your not feet hit the ground, but when did you realize what you managed to accomplish? Because when you have that crowning moment, it's a whirlwind. You don't remember much. You might even black out. But
Yeah.
at some point, normally when you're by yourself or with your friends and family, it dawns on you, hang on, I'm now the queen. I've got the title, and now the all that hard work now begins. But when did it dawn on you what you've managed to achieve?
I would say the next morning, I was really intentional about recording my reaction. Even when I was in the bathroom getting ready for bed, I was like looking at myself like, that's me. And so it's so fun to go back and look at those videos. But the next morning, the Miss Maryland Volunteer Board had my teen queen Tess and I hit the ground running, and we had a photo shoot. So when I woke up at 7 a.m., when I didn't go to bed until 5 a.m. to get full glam, I was like, oh, this is for me. Like, this photo shoot is for us. This is my time to put this sash on. And I was just so emotional all day. I couldn't stop crying.
Don't even know if it's worth going to bed at 5 a.m. if you have to work up at. Isn't it just better to stay awake?
Honestly, probably, but I was in the room with my teen title holder Tess, and we just couldn't stop talking. We were reliving the night, talking about what just happened, saying goodbye to our family, and we were in the hotel room for the night. So finally, by the time everything died down, it was like 5 a.m. And I
Wow.
was like, oh my gosh, our alarm is set for 7 a.m. for Kayla Mosley to come to our glam.
Can you walk us through what, because I interviewed Brooke just before on Instagram Live before you guys had your pageant, and she mentioned it was the first time that Maryland had an in-person pageant. So walk us through what the experience was like.
This experience with the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization is unlike any other experience I've had in the pageant world. I have competed in pageants since I was a senior in high school. And like you stated, I'm a senior in college now. So I've had different experiences under my belt, but the second I stepped foot in Frederick, Maryland for the state competition, the vibes were immaculate. We came in and every single one of us girls competing were greeted by our directors, Miss Hannah and Miss Heidi. Every single girl was greeted with a hug, a goodie bag. We had a welcome ceremony, and they just did everything they physically could to make you feel special, regardless if you left with the crown or not. We had really great rehearsals. Like we were able to sleep in till 9 a.m. the one day. I've never had that where I could sleep in at a pageant. So they really prioritized us the whole weekend, and we really all felt truly supported, whether it was backstage with all the stage helpers and volunteers or the extra experiences like our arrival ceremony, the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization. They definitely jammed it packed, like full with opportunities for us, but they really made sure to really prioritize everyone's mental health and make it such a fun weekend full of like sisterhood and all the positive vibes.
Did you get time to bond with your fellow contestants? Because very often it's like wake up at the crack of dawn, make up, rehearsal, 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 and then sponsor appearance, and then go to bed, and you never actually get the chance to talk with the women you're competing with. And I feel like that's the biggest reason to compete is the amazing women that you get to meet. But it sounds like you had time to
Oh,
bond.
absolutely. We even had a massage therapist come, and we were able to take sections of rehearsal, and each girl was able to go get a 10-minute massage. Like the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization does not play.
Hang on, are you sure you were competing in a pageant? You weren't at a spa treatment? What's a
Right?
massage therapist?
Yes, they treated us so well. They even had like blow up little beds in the theater during rehearsal. So if it was the teens rehearsal time, all of us miss were just snuggling on the blow up beds, like taking a nap.
I think you've been spoiled here, Rebecca. I don't think I've
Right?
ever heard of that. I've interviewed hundreds of contestants. I've never heard of massage therapists. What walk us through like how many days it was, what you were doing on each day. I know that for talent, I saw you were doing tap dance and all that sort of thing. But what was the experience like? How many days was it? And what were the days full of? Like, what were your favorite parts?
Yeah, we had one day of prelims and then finals night. So it was one really long weekend. So to kickstart the competition, we had a baseball game, and then we had one day that was designated solely just for interviews, which I really grew to appreciate because the interview phase of competition I think can really be the most stressful, and for that is at least how I feel personally. So being able to after my interview just relax the rest of that evening, I think that was imperative to my success because I could stay in my zone, I could relax, get dinner with my friends, and just have a really chill evening before prelims and rehearsal started that next day. So the day of prelims, we had rehearsal all day. We were at the theater, and then the Miss had prelims, and then Saturday night was everything, which I think what also made this system, specifically Miss Maryland Volunteer, really unique was the fact that every single contestant, whether they made finals or not, they were able to do their talent and fitness and wellness phase of competition before we broke down to the top seven. Because, I mean, I've been to competitions where I didn't make the finals, and your family comes to final night, and
Mm.
if you didn't make that top number, then you didn't even compete on stage. So I think it was really special because regardless if you placed as high as you wanted to, your family was there and you
Yeah.
were still able to do something on stage.
Yeah, it sounds like they designed it for this first year in person. They designed it from the ground up to be
Mhm.
enjoyable for you guys and also for your family. Because I mean, sometimes family comes from interstate or sometimes even from overseas. I mean, I flew
Right?
overseas for Miss Volunteer America. And if you don't get to see your best friend or your daughter compete, you're not you why would you be happy about that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And I think it sounds like, by the sounds of it, correct me if I'm wrong, but they prioritize you guys.
Oh, yes. That's why I truly believe if you go to school or have residency in Maryland, I just don't know why you wouldn't want to be there for that weekend because that's what pageantry is all about. And it was really refreshing to have that sense of home away from home and have the Miss Maryland Volunteer Board just prioritize us all weekend.
Now, I saw on your Instagram somewhere that you and your teen title holder, I think you said you were two small town girls. So you're from Frostburg, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you tell me? Now, I don't know anything about Maryland. I said this to Brooke. All I know is the Maryland crab. I don't know anything about Frostburg. So tell us a little bit about Frostburg.
Yeah, so Frostburg is a really small town in Western Maryland. So we're like as far away from pretty much most civilization as it gets. But I've grown up in Frostburg my entire life. Tess and I went to, well, Tess goes to Mountain Ridge High School, and that's where I graduated from high school. We only have one high school in our city of Frostburg. It's really not a big city at all. And we don't even have like most fast food chains. Like the most we have is like Chick-fil-A and Applebee's, McDonald's, Sheetz. Like we don't have anything else. But I'm just really grateful and all of my family lives in Frostburg. So that's why Frostburg will always be my home because I'm a very family-oriented person. And because I'm one of the caregivers for my grandfather, I can't imagine not being so close to him. He lives less than 5 minutes from me. I take dinner to their house multiple nights a week. I stay the night there multiple nights a week. I do everything I physically can to really have a strong relationship with my grandparents. And I have my campus life. Frostburg State University is basically in my backyard from my mom's house. So we might be tiny, but we are mighty. And I know the city of Frostburg is really grateful to have Frostburg State here.
About family for a second, because I've always believed that family is so important and it's very underrated. You mentioned, well, in your bio that part of your serve initiative was inspired, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rebecca, but inspired by your grandfather's battle with Alzheimer's or
Hmm.
dementia. I lost both my grandparents to cancer, and the reason I
I'm
bring that
sorry.
up is because at a certain point you're looking at them and it's the same person, but you don't recognize them anymore. Like something has changed very, very physically. With Alzheimer's or dementia, but all my family is doctors, apart from me, medical doctors. And very often they're dealing with elderly patients. And they talk about these elderly patients who have Alzheimer's and the family, they don't recognize their family members. They can't, and it's very, very difficult for the family. I mean, I'm going to ask you, like, what your perspective on the whole thing is. But the person is there, but sometimes what makes them them is not. And
Mhm.
some days can be good, some days can be not so good.
You got
Can you
it.
tell us a bit more? Tell us a bit more about that part of your life, because it's got to be emotionally incredibly difficult.
Absolutely. Every single week is different. Back whenever the COVID-19 pandemic first hit, I was stripped away from seeing them every single day because some
Oh no.
scary unknown virus that you don't know anything about yet that makes you not go to their house every single day. So I knew I needed to do something to still support them. So whenever everybody was quarantining, I actually did a virtual training and I became a certified dementia caregiver because not only did I want to be able to support my grandfather, I wanted to be able to support my grandmother because although she's not the one suffering with memory loss, she's the one who is now his primary caregiver. And that's not something she was used to do or knew she was going to have to do. And she really needed support because being that person with that person 24/7 is a really heavy load. So since then, I can kind of support her and him because just like you said,
Mm,
every single day is different. And some days are good days and some days are bad
yeah.
days. Luckily, my grandfather still knows my name, so I'm very grateful. I go up all the time just to try to strengthen that bond and keep that connection alive for physically as long as possible.
You mentioned that you go and take meals up. What's his favorite meal?
He likes my pasta Alfredo. He's very much not a picky eater. He's grateful for everything. I always say this in any interview or any conversation when he gets brought up that he really taught me to have a love for service. He always helped me growing up. He would be the one picking me up from school, taking me on ice cream dates, and he really was the one that said you need to lead with a servant's heart and always be thinking of others. So he's seriously why I joined pageants. So whenever I was able to have an initiative, I knew it had to be for him. And he loves my pasta Alfredo and he loves a good taco salad.
Are you a good cook then? You sound like one.
I try to be. My mom is the best. I don't think anybody can top my mom's cooking personally, but I'm learning from the best. So one day I'll be just like her.
Did your family get a chance to see your crowning moment?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, my pap wasn't able to make it to Frederick. Depending on the day, it's just easier to get him out of the house than other days.
Yeah,
And Frederick is about an hour and 45 minutes from my house. So that was unfortunately too far of a distance for him. But I had
yeah.
the best cheering squad ever. My mom, her best friends from school and high school, my significant other's family, his neighbor, my princesses and their mom. When I tell you I had half of Allegheny and Garrett County in Frederick for that, I am not joking.
But have you gone to your pap, as you call him, your pap's place wearing your crown or anything like that? Okay, you need to
Yes.
describe that moment. I can only imagine. What was that like?
Oh, it was so heartwarming. It was the next day after my photo shoot. I finally got home and I was like, I have to go see him.
Yeah.
He's not going to know what to think. So I put my crown and sash on and did my makeup. And I have a twin brother, and my twin brother, he's recording it. It's actually a really special moment. And he's behind me, and you can see my grandmother's reaction first. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she gave me the biggest hug. And a fun fact about my grandfather, he loves to be outside when it's nice out. So he has the best view of the woods in his backyard on their back deck. So I walk out to the back deck where he is, and he sees my crown and he's like, is that yours? And
No, I stole it.
that's exactly what he said. I could just see the utter shock because I don't know if he necessarily remembered about the competition over the weekend, but he knows enough that I do pageants. So he was like, "Oh my gosh, is that yours?" It was the
What was it?
sweetest moment.
There must have been tears at that moment, though.
Oh, absolutely. He was hugging me, my grandmother's crying, my brother's trying to get all the documentation of the events.
Let me ask you. So obviously, I honor how much you value family, and that's a difficult journey at the best of times, emotionally speaking. And then, you're now the queen. I saw here that you're a cheerleader, and a lot of that involves being very perky, always smiling. Do you ever find it difficult to balance the two when publicly, outwardly facing? You always need to be really, really happy, really, really, put together, especially now that you're the queen. And then, things behind the scenes obviously can be difficult. And there's all these battles that all of us fight, to be fair, that we don't always publicly share. Do you find it difficult to balance the two?
I think because I love everything I do. No. I truly love pageants and I love the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization, and I've been a cheerleader and a dancer since the age of 3. So I think why my answer is an easy no, that it's truly because of my support system and the Miss Maryland Volunteer Board, Miss Hannah, Miss Heidi, or my contestant coordinator, Kelly. They work so hard to always meet my needs that they make my job easy because they love so hard and they support so hard that they make my job a breeze.
As I say, it takes a village, doesn't it?
Yes,
And so
sir, it
certainly sounds
does.
like you've got a good village. Can you give us, without any spoilers, can you give us an idea of what Maryland's going to be bringing to the Carl Perkins Civic Center, June or July
Ooh.
next year?
Like I said, in Maryland, we had the biggest cheering section ever for me. So expect that in Tennessee. That stage was electrifying. I actually was at nationals last year, and that's where I met you for the first time at the after party. But it was so much fun being there, and I just know all my family's going to be there in the crowd. I'm excited to tap dance again. I just know it'll be an amazing, amazing once in a lifetime experience.
I will say, you would have experienced this firsthand. Just rug up. I don't know how you are with the cold. It's very. I don't know if they keep it that cold on purpose,
Oh,
but
it
I got
snows.
sick. It's oh god. I got sick at the Carl Perkins Civic Center because they kept it so cold, and there were a
Yes.
few of the contestants said, "Yeah, we were all rugged up, when we weren't required on stage." Why don't you tell us how you got into pageants to begin with? So you said it was your grandfather who inspired you, but what kept you hooked?
My dance teacher here at Frostburg Dance Academy, her name is Miss Amy and Miss Nikki. They are the ones that initially sparked this interest. I had already started community service. I already was going to different events for Alzheimer's and dementia, but I just didn't really exactly know my why just yet. I was doing all the things and I had a talent, but I hadn't competed at a local or a pageant before. And I'm at dance, I'm in hip hop specifically, and Miss Nikki goes, Rebecca, why don't you do this? And it was my senior year, and I told her I wanted to do something spontaneous. I didn't know what that was yet, but I told her, like, I just want to do something to make high school feel complete. And she delivered, let me tell you. And that's where the pageant journey started. And then I was hooked, and I have not stopped since. My entire 4 years while I've been at Frostburg State, I've competed in pageants, and it's just really reassuring to know that I have found my home here with the Miss Volunteer America system.
What kept you hooked? Was it the interviewing? Was it the dancing? Was it a chance to be on stage? Was it the people you meet? Is it, all of the above?
Yes, I think it's all the above. I loved every second I can put myself out there because rejection is just redirection. I love performing, and while I still can, I want to take every opportunity. I teach at Frostburg Dance Academy as well, so I wanted to show those little girls that while I'm encouraging them to go on stage, I'm still doing that same thing. And I have met so many incredible ladies because of competing. There are some girls that I text on a daily basis. We meet for lunch monthly. I mean, we really have created such a positive environment. And every single time, even when I didn't leave with the crown, I knew there was still work to be done. And every single year, I've learned so much more about myself. And I think that's why I felt so calm going into the Miss Maryland Volunteer pageant weekend because I feel so secure in myself and knew that I was capable of being that state title holder.
What do you think the biggest thing you've learnt about yourself is throughout your pageant journey?
I've learned that it's okay to step outside of your comfort zone. I think it's so easy to do the same thing over and over because that's what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But I've grown to love feeling uncomfortable because we're not going to grow if we don't do that. Interviews used to terrify me. And I used to walk in heels that were like this tall because I didn't know how to do it otherwise. And just each year, I've grown so much. And those are just two small examples of what the reward can be when you put yourself out there and into an organization that'll pour back into you. Because of pageants, I have found myself. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's so, so true.
Can I ask you, I'm always fascinated by dancers because I have two left feet. I'm the opposite to you. I can talk until the cows come home. The problem is getting me to shut up when I get really passionate about something. But do you get nervous at all? Like when it's opening number, I'm not talking about professional dancing or cheerleading, or just pageant dancing. So opening number, I get very jealous with dancers because they can look at an opening number and 5 minutes later they're like, oh yeah, I've memorized it. I'm like, what? But do you get nervous at all going on stage? Because you said, okay, interview can be sometimes quite, difficult. But
Mhm.
do you ever get nervous going on stage?
I think that initial first night is where you have the most nerves, whether you're a performer, dancer, singer, any of those talents. That first night before you step on stage for the first time, before opening number happens, I think that's when you just have nerves because of the uncertainty of how the events can unfold. But that
Yeah.
second opening numbers through, because I'm so aware of my actions and secure in myself, then from there on out, I'm so excited to continue the night. Like, I'm thrilled, I'm pumped, my game face is on, and I'm ready to take on the rest of the night.
Mentioned hip hop. I know that your talent is tap. How many different styles of dance have you studied?
I have been dancing since 3, and since then I've dabbled in ballet, lyrical, tap, jazz, hip hop, and then I teach a palm/tumbling class.
Right. Okay, that's mind-boggling. I I say this as I started playing the violin at the age of 2.5,
Mm,
so roughly around the same age. And there are different styles of violin, right? There's a classical, there's a romantic, there's a more modern type. And one of the difficulties for me coming from a classical background, like trying to play country, for example, you need to loosen up. The techniques are very different, but it's so much more fun in a way because the technique, it's not so much focused on technique, it's more focused on getting the emotional reaction. And I'm just
mhm.
curious for yourself, walk me through what it's like having all these different styles. Because for me, again, not as a dancer, and I think a lot of people in the audience, they can appreciate a dance, but they're not necessarily dancers themselves. Like, what is it like having all these different styles of dance, and like, how do you approach them differently, and which ones are your favorite?
It honestly, the music is the number one answer to that.
Yeah.
I know whenever I'm walking in and Miss Amy has her ballet music on, like that's a whole different energy than whenever Miss Nikki has on some Cardi B for hip hop. So
So
I
you don't
think
do Cardi
music.
B for ballet, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, that stays
Okay.
for hip hop. But I think the music is the number one thing. We always stretch to music and just to get our headspace in the right place where it needs to be to get going. And I love hip hop because I get to just let loose. Like, I get to be
Yeah.
grounded, and I think my brain can turn off. I
Mm,
feel like that's where I have the most fun, but I'm biased because I love tap. My mom's favorite style is tap, so I always stuck with tap since a little girl. And I love tapping on stage, and I think tap is so unique because people can see a hip hop dance or a jazz dance, and I feel like people can think, "Oh, I could do that." And they maybe can't, but people think that. But I think with tap dance, just because of that heel and the tap, they think, oh my gosh. And people think it's so much different whenever in reality, some of the moves, like a little sachet, like some things are not any different, but people can just be so mesmerized by a good tap dance.
I Berkeley was, I mean, you were there, so you would have seen her performances, and she did that
Yes.
one to Blue Suede Shoes, and I recorded a video of it, and I look back at it, and I have so much respect for dancers because you do something that's so difficult, and yet you have to make it look easy and effortless, especially ballet. Like, you can't make it look labored, otherwise something has gone very, very wrong. But I was looking at Berkeley's performance, and I can't see how quickly she's moving her feet. And the whole time she's smiling and she's getting the crowd involved. And I'm like, hang on, hang on. I mean, I do a lot of tennis, so I've got pretty strong legs, but I'll just go,
Okay.
don't your shins hurt? Don't your calves hurt? Don't your feet
Calves.
hurt? I mean, so tell me more about tap dancing, and also can you differentiate that from clogging? Because I've interviewed girls from Tennessee and they said they clog, but then
Hmm.
there's tap, and I know the two are separate. But what is it like? What is it like tapping like that? Because she made it look so easy, and I'm assuming you do too. But I'm just looking at the feet, going, that's so difficult.
Yes, I love tap dancing. I love watching Berkeley, and that's the key to it. You have to make it look effortless. And the key to being a good tap dancer is really inviting the crowd
Yeah,
because some people see obviously tap dancing, you're moving your feet. But what Berkeley does is she invites you in by dancing with her upper body and
yeah.
using her entire body, not just her feet, just because you have taps on your feet. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what makes it so special. And that's the difference between clogging and tapping is the tap itself. They're two different taps.
Right. Okay. So how long, I don't want you to spoil this, but thinking ahead to nationals next year, how long is a process going from this is what I want to perform to practicing, rehearsing, refining? How long is that process?
I think it just depends on the dance. For me,
Oh,
since I've been tap dancing for so long, sometimes I find a song that speaks to me faster than another year. Sometimes my tap shoes I order to match that costume come at a different time than when I'm designing my costume. It just depends on when the creative juices flow. Like for me, when I'm teaching at Frostburg Dance Academy, some days there's just no choreography coming to my head. And then the next week on that next Tuesday, sometimes I have like 8 count upon 8 count just flowing. So I think it all just depends, but that's why I'm really grateful I was crowned so early. It being in August, I have all year to prepare and make it a really killer tap dance.
great to see it. What are the biggest plans? Again, no spoilers, but what is it that you are looking to achieve, and how are you going to represent your state? Like all the plans that all of you guys have, you want to do certain appearances, obviously want to build your platforms, but you got what, roughly, let's call it 9 months from now until nationals. So big picture, what are some of the plans you have?
I'm just so excited to have Maryland across my chest, and I want to continue to make history. Like Brooke said, I am the first Miss Maryland that was actually crowned. So I want girls to see that they can do it too. And I want to make it so big that they don't limit themselves to, oh, well, I don't think I have that connection. I can't do that. So my biggest goal is just to be a yes man. Like I want to say to everything and any opportunity that comes my way to continue to help pave the way for future Miss Maryland volunteers to come because I do have a year and I do have a wonderful support system, whether it's my dance instructor or my cheer coach or my professors. Everybody works so hard because they know this was a dream of mine. So they let me prioritize being Miss Maryland volunteer so I can really elevate myself in the program and represent Maryland to the best of my ability on that national stage.
How do you manage your time? There's a lot going on here. I'm just curious.
Every day looks different. So I'm a full-time student. Some days I have class from 8:30 to 3, sometimes it's 10 to 3, sometimes I'm in an internship. But the key is getting up early. And sometimes it hurts. Like this morning, I accidentally snoozed 3 times.
How do you
But
accident? Hang on. How do you accidentally snooze? Did you mean you reached over, hit the snooze button, and then you? Right.
that,
Yeah, it's not
yeah.
accidental.
It's accidental because I know I shouldn't be doing it and I do it anyway, but that's the key to it. If I can just get up a little bit earlier to get whether it's homework done or emails for my Miss Maryland volunteer account done, getting up before class and being productive or my Morgan workout and getting that done for the day. Then I have my classes all day and then I typically have practice 4 nights a week, but again, my coach is so wonderful and lets me go to an appearance if I have an appearance on a Tuesday evening. Hannah and Heidi are wonderful, and sometimes I go to a football game and cheer on a Saturday and go to an event after. I am truly just so grateful for this opportunity. So, like, I don't think I'll ever come down from that high. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be like, man, I'm tired. Like, no, every single day is such a gift. And I know there are so many people that want this. And I want them to know that I am hardworking and that I am not going to take a single day of this year for granted. There's only 365 days in a year, and I want to do everything I physically can.
Just with how multifaceted your life is and how busy you are, I think now is a really good time for you to just explain to the viewers what's behind you and what each part is. This is like the ultimate Barbie slash girls
Right?
bedroom. Can you just explain what each, like, you got hangers, you got like little outfits, you got a sash, obviously. Explain.
Okay, yes, this is my room. It is very girly pop. All are welcome. So I have my dress rack because as you can see, my closet's back there, but they don't all fit now. Like the Miss Maryland Volunteer Board has gifted and let me borrow so many gowns and cocktails that I am dressed for every single appearance. So I had to buy a second rack, and the rack is right here. And then back here on my dresser is more of my gifts from the Miss Maryland Volunteer Board, like my brush set and my Versace sunglasses, my old sash, my ring light. anything a pageant girl might need is gonna be on that dresser. And then behind my door is where all my earrings hang. And then, of course, I had to rep the Maryland jacket for this.
Didn't know that was your wardrobe behind you. I thought that was the door. Didn't realize that was.
Yep, second
Do I
rack.
want to? Do I want to know how big it is in there?
Honestly, my room is really big. I have the biggest room in the house. I'm really lucky. Everyone knew I had way too much after I won, so they were like, "Yeah, please."
I mean, a girl's got to keep it somewhere, doesn't she?
Right?
I think now is a good time to ask you whether you live in your car. And whilst when I ask that, because you sound like you spend so much time traveling everywhere, let's bring
Oh,
up
yeah.
this video of not that one, this one. So I'm super jealous of you guys. I told you, Rebecca, like here in Australia, if you win a pageant, you get like a lipstick or something. I'm being facetious, like a gift basket.
Yes,
We don't get the
yes.
use of a car. So explain what's going on here.
Yes, so I am so grateful for Weimer Automotive. When I was crowned Miss Maryland Volunteer, they said, "Hey, we'll be a sponsor and we will have let you have a car for a whole year." They are a connection that I created back when I was Miss
Wow.
Frostburg Volunteer. And I said, "Hey, if I win, can we
Can I have a
like have
car?
a partnership? Like, what can I do to meet your needs? I really want to make this work." And they were like so supportive and instantly said, "Yep, if you are the state title holder, you can have a car for a year." So the second I was crowned, my mom's friend actually is who owns this dealership, and she was there and watched my crowning moment. So this dealership is a big, big supporter of the Miss Maryland Volunteer Organization.
You have a convertible.
Yes,
Like,
I
could
do.
this be any more perfect for you?
Honestly, no, it is as perfect as it gets, and I am really grateful. It's a beautiful car. It is on the road all the time, and it's perfect for parade season. That's one thing they said. As soon as I was crowned, I still didn't know what car I was getting, so it was like a little surprise. And when I talked to them on the phone, they were like, "Well, the convertible, of course. And then you're ready for all your parades and appearances. Like it's just easy, like two in one." And I was like emotional. I started crying again. I was an emotional mess, and it was really, really special.
Please tell me you're a good driver.
Oh, absolutely, I promise. But this
Okay.
car is all over the place. I use this car for appearances. So when I'm going to class, I obviously have my personal car. But for anything appearance like when I'm on the road for the organization, I am in my convertible. So this weekend, I will be in a variety of counties in Maryland, and I'll even be heading to Philadelphia for a St. Jude walk before I head back to campus on Monday. So me and that convertible will be on the road this weekend.
Well, how big of it? And I've interviewed a few of the state title holders now, and they've all taken it upon themselves to help grow their state organizations, and some of them have created amazing partnerships. I'm including you in that. How how important is it to you to help? Obviously, you're focused on nationals, but how important is it to you to help grow the state pageant as well?
Oh, so important. You earn your success based on your service to others. And why would I want to do anything else but pour back into the organization that has poured so much into me and trusted me with their role? I can't imagine doing it alongside anyone else. Again, I keep saying their names, but Miss Hannah and Miss Heidi, this organization has worked tirelessly in this first year to make it a successful year. So I want to pay that forward, whether it's helping secure more sponsorships in the future or hosting sisterhood weekends or maybe being a local director when I'm older. I want to do anything I can so year after year I can be supporting this program.
Do you have any tips in terms of building sponsorships? Because I've had a lot of people behind the scenes say, I can't, I want to get sponsorships or I want to build partnerships, but it's difficult. I just don't know how to do it. So when you have a conversation with a potential sponsor, do you have any tips for those watching to help them build partnerships or sponsorships for their pageant systems?
Getting out there and doing the job is the best way to do it. I was all over the county of Allegheny County and Frostburg, and all over the state of Maryland for that matter, building these connections at the local level. Before I won Miss Maryland Volunteer, I was talking to the dealership and saying, "Hey," I was doing everything I could to make these connections. So they were excited to see me that next year. Or when I
Yeah.
won, I had these businesses like texting me, "Oh my gosh, we're so excited for you." My phone was blowing up because I made those connections with these businesses, so they want to continue supporting me. I have various sponsors that have followed me from the local level to now the state level because I was building those connections at the local level. Everybody just wants to
Yeah.
feel connected and feel special. And as a local title holder, when you're out in your community doing that, those businesses are going to want to support you.
So when you approach the businesses, a lot of them may not exactly know what the benefits of competing in
Mhm.
pageants are. There are a lot of people who still think of it as, the old days when it was just pretty girls walking in swimsuits on a stage. And obviously, pageantry has changed a lot since then, especially systems such as Miss Volunteer America, which I think is only 5 years old.
Mhm.
What do you think the biggest skills you've learnt from pageantry are? So you were a dancer way back when, so you got that handled. But what are some
Mhm.
of the skills that you've learned through your pageant journey?
I learned how to talk in front of a room and just be confident in myself and every action I make. I can't say that would have been who I was before pageants. My senior year of high school, I was a little shy, backwards, would rather not speak than get up and say a speech in front of somebody. And whenever I joined the pageant world, everything changed for me because I mean, the progress didn't happen overnight by any
Yeah.
means, but year after year, I continued to show up for myself and pour into myself. And when you finally get to see that pay off, there's not a better feeling in the world, to be quite honest with you, because when you know you've put in that hard work and you're always striving for more because you're with like minded, empowering women, and you really just have this electrifying energy that there's just nothing like it. And I owe so much of my success and why I feel confident in myself to pageantry.
Can I ask you, because you mentioned that you were shy.
Mhm.
I've talked to pageant girls who said when they were younger they would hide behind their mum's legs and start crying whenever anyone wanted to talk to them, which is very difficult to believe, as you can appreciate, because I'm now talking to you and you
Yes.
sound so confident, so comfortable. But can I ask you, do you remember what your first pageant interview experience was like, and
Oh
how did it
no.
go? You
That's
can't.
the thing. That's how I know that I've grown into myself, because when I first started doing pageants, I was so scared of the talking part that I could never recall a single thing from that interview room. I walked out and I was like, "Mom, I don't even remember a single question they asked." Like, I would lose my train of thought halfway through a question. I was so nervous that I usually could not recall an interview. And that's why I felt so good after my Miss Maryland volunteer interview, because this past year I had done so many mocks. I truly worked on myself in every phase of competition, and I was confident for interview. And this was the first interview where I can remember it from beginning to end. And I was like, wow, that's how you know I've made it.
I was going to say, if you can't remember your interview, you also can't remember your crowning moment. There seems to be large portions of your pageant journey that you've just sort of blacked out from, and
No, but
it's
I
like
got it
trauma.
now.
I mean, everything comes in good time. You
Yes.
mentioned obviously you're a full-time student. What are you studying?
I'm double majoring in early childhood and elementary education at Frostburg State.
Right. Okay. So a year out, 5 years out. What are the plans that you have? What's life going to look like for Rebecca West? Let's say 5 years from now.
So in May, I'll graduate, and I'm ideally going to be going right away to get my master's degree, which will take 2 years. Ideally, I'd love to get my master's in counseling. So whether I
Right.
am a school teacher or a school counselor, I will always be in that school setting because growing up, I loved going to school. I still love going to school, and I owe a lot of that to my wonderful mentors I had along the way. And I'm a routine girly. As you know, I don't mind getting up early. So I love the structure of school. I love having that
Yeah.
routine. So regardless whether I maybe teach for a few years or if I am a school counselor, I want to be with the kids. That's where my heart is. I'm teaching at the studio. I love being with the kids. So 5 years from now, I want to be in the school system, whether I'm then pursuing my doctoral degree in educational leadership. Ideally, I want to be doing something to always better the education system for our kids.
Why is it so important to you to give back to the kids? And I say this because not a lot, but I've spoken to certain people and they can't stand working with kids. And I always found that a bit odd. I was a tennis coach, a head tennis coach at an all-girls school, and I loved, and even before then, working with like 5-year-olds and working with kids that had special needs. And I always love that because there's something working with young kids, they're so unfiltered, and yet you also get to be part of their journey. And I really think it's very sad that sometimes a young student can have a negative experience with a teacher who just didn't care or was having a bad day, whatever. So, for example, I can remember one negative experience I had back when I was like 8 years old with an art teacher. And after that, I decided I hated art. Similar with a history teacher. I remember my sports teacher told me like I threw like a girl, and he did not mean that like a compliment. And so I'm always curious, like, why? Because it takes so much patience. I don't need to tell you this. It takes so much patience, compassion to work with kids. I'm just curious for you, why are you so keen on working in the education system with children?
I think you really touched on that beautifully. I have had some really wonderful teachers and mentors, and I've had some that made me didn't want to go to school. But
Yeah,
especially with our early childhood friends, I want to be the role model for them that they're excited to go to school. And whenever you're working with our little friends, they're still moldable. You can
mm,
still make them want to love school, be excited to go to school, and they want to perform well for you. So that's
yeah.
why I love working with our younger friends. Kindergarten has my heart. I love that, especially on that first day of school when there's like no structure at all. And that's like the best challenge ever because they're just being themselves and you get to be the role model to make them better. Like I know that sounds like there's so much pressure associated to that, but like what an honor. Like they get to go to you every day and you're the one that gets to show them how to be good people.
I don't think it's pressure at all. Maybe I'm just a bit weird. I find it very exciting. It's like there's someone who literally you're their entire world, even if it's for that hour, that one lesson, you have their complete attention. Um,
Mhm.
I got to imagine, you see, because you mentioned that you want to make school fun, and I find it really sad when a kid goes from, oh, I was excited to go to school to, I hate school. It was all, and I would notice like around 12 or 13 back when I was working in the all girls high school, and they would just begin to not like school for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Um, how do you make learning, how do you make school fun?
I think there are different ways to do that. I know that in most places we have a structured curriculum, but you just have to be real. The students know when you're not excited to be there. They
Yeah,
know when you have five other things in your brain that you should have left when you walk through the front door for the day. They can sense that energy. And I think why I've worked so well with my students while I'm interning is because I'm a new face and they want to please me. So when I go,
yeah,
I actually teach lessons every single time I'm interning, and I implement brain breaks where they get to jump up and down or dance, or we play a four corners game. I tailor the activities to the grade level I'm with. Some
yeah.
grade levels can handle other activities that others can't. You just have to know your students.
Yeah.
And I always, my number one trick, I go into my first day with my internships always knowing my student's name ahead of time. I always email my mentor teacher and I make it a point to say hello and say their name. Because right there, you just made that connection and they're like honored and excited that you know their name. And I think when you have that mutual respect, even though they're younger and obviously you're the adult figure, but having that respect, already you're starting off on such a great foot to build such a great relationship with your students.
Think people sometimes forget how powerful names are. I
Absolutely.
sometimes like to just throw a name in because I'm pretty good with names, and you throw the name in, and it sometimes breaks people's brains. They're like,
Yep.
"Hang on, you remember my name?" It's like, Yes,
Yes, it's
but
so
that's important to
flattering.
me. But I mean, it's a very fundamental thing, isn't it? To have the respect to remember someone's name. That's like when I interview people, I always ask, how do I pronounce your name? Because I would hate to get it wrong because it's such a fundamental thing. You mentioned a four corners game. I missed out on that when I was in kindergarten. What's a four corners game?
So depending on the brain break, sometimes it's with music, and again, sometimes I don't even turn the music on because
Right.
sometimes it like gets them too excited.
Yeah.
So with that, sometimes I do it even with fractions. When I did it with my fifth graders, they did it with fractions. So I was trying to make math fun, and I was like, "What do I do to make this fun?" So I put these word problems up on the board, and they had to solve the equation, and then I had a countdown. And when we got to 3, 2, 1, they had to pick the corner. So, like, let's say this corner was the answers 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. They had to go to that corner. And sometimes they got a little excited, but they would pick that corner. So, I do that for math. I've done it for science. I've done it just as a brain break. You name it. I've implemented that four corners game because kids, I feel like, don't get to get out of their seat very often. So,
Yeah.
even though the classroom might only be so big, when you say that they get to play a game and they're moving, their attention is on you just like that.
I think that's really interesting you say that because I know there are a few people who've tried to be kindergarten teachers and they just couldn't handle. They would say the kids were too much or they had too much energy. And again, from my experience on the tennis court, I often used music
Mhm.
because I would find that it would help the people that I was teaching to sort of actually be more attentive. And when I first started playing music on court, the girls would always ask me, "Why are you playing music?" And I would say, "Well, why not? Like you
Mhm.
like music, I like music. Let's use that." And I just wanted to ask, like, how important is it to you to enable that physical part even in the classroom? Because for me, it's like if you were a kid and you're forced to sit down and what you're learning is not that exciting and the teacher doesn't really care, of course the kids are going to begin to muck up.
Mhm.
Of course their attention's going to drift because you're boring them to tears. Like I would be I would be bored in your classroom by the sounds of it. But I find that for a lot of the kids, like getting up and engaging and getting to move, not only does it help them get the energy out, but it helps them
Mhm.
learn better. Have you found that
Yes.
in your case?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Sometimes, even if it's not like structured time
Yeah,
or the time of day where you do that brain break, sometimes I've done it where we're not even on that subject matter. But if you do that just for 3 minutes, three
yeah,
minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but in just 3 minutes, if you switch to that activity and do something fun, you have their attention again and they'll be more motivated to do the next task. So I
yeah,
find that it works every single time. And again, you have to tailor it to your age group, of course,
yeah.
but I think it works really well. And I've been really, really grateful and blessed to have amazing mentor teachers that have made the experience still really fun. Even though I'm in their classrooms and respecting their rules, I've been able to take a little creative freedom. So I feel like I would be confident in my own classroom too, eventually.
Well, I hope we get more young teachers like you.
Oh, thank you. I love it so much.
I mean, it's just so important to keep the kids engaged. I often say in this day and age, for better or worse, the worst thing you can be is boring.
Yeah.
And, good luck to you. If you want to be a teacher and you go in front of young kids or teenagers and you're boring,
Yeah. No.
it's game over. I don't care
And
how well
game
you know your
over is
subject
right.
matter. You need to be able to emotionally engage them. And I think that's an underrated skill when it comes
Hmm.
to our teachers. They go, "Oh, well, that's the classroom is not the place for fun." I'm like, it's not about having fun. It's like if you actually care about your students learning stuff, you need to make it engaging. And
Yes.
you're not doing that. So it sounds like you give that a lot of attention.
I really
And
try.
that's a really, really important skill. Um, so give me an idea. Let's say June, July next year, you're fortunate enough to have another crown placed on your head. Um, After you faint and cry and your entire cheering section has lost their voices, what would your plans be? What are you going to do?
I've already had such meaningful conversations about this with my Maryland directors, and I want to hit the ground running. I want to work with the national partners and continue what I'm already doing. At the local level, I had already raised over $2,000 for St. Jude before I even stepped on the state stage.
Yeah.
So I know my number will only grow, and before then, I have so many ideas that I'd love to share a little sooner to the national pageant,
Yeah.
but I think my first thing I would do would be to call my grandfather because I know he won't be able to make it to Tennessee. But no matter what time of day, even if it's morning or night, I'd call just so he could hear the good news.
Have you had a chance to visit with St. Jude? I'm just curious.
Not actually to their in-person campus like in Memphis, but I am planning it and I'm really excited.
What do you think it would be like for you emotionally as someone who's so invested in kids and, their well-being?
Mhm.
I mean, St. Jude's journey, its mission, I hadn't heard about it until I started interviewing Miss Volunteer America contestants. And when I heard about it, someone sent me a short video about their mission, and it's absolutely incredible. But I just got to, like, for you as someone who wants to work with our future generations, what would that be like for you to go into a place like that?
It would be so emotional, but so worth it and
Mm,
eye-opening. Even now, I feel like I see glimpses of when I am in the nursing homes. I just
yeah,
met a resident who was 105 years old. So I have seen so many different people from so many different walks of life. But as a title holder, my job is to make your day better. So being on that St. Jude campus, I would feel so honored that I was there and really contributing to such an amazing cause. Here, I think it's such an easy mission to support because people
yeah.
believe in the mission and know that it's for a great cause and that it's truly so near and dear to my heart because St. Jude has saved so many different people's lives,
Mm,
especially we have a young little girl here from Maryland who her life was changed because of St. Jude.
yeah.
So I'm just really honored that I even will have the opportunity to go in person.
I forgot to ask, you mentioned tap dancing in nursing homes
Mhm.
somewhere, I think. Can you tell me a bit more about that? I'm curious.
Yes, so I just said this earlier, but I raised money for St. Jude. I am a fundraising queen. I do paint fundraisers yearly, and that's how I raised money for these said tap shoes. So imagine these black leather, stretchy, slip on tap shoes. So it's black and then taps on the toe and the heel.
Yeah.
And you put them over the resident's shoes or their socks and that's how they tap with me. So sometimes that takes a few minutes getting everybody's shoes on, but once everybody's shoes are on, we're always in a big circle. And I turn on some 60s on 6 hits essentials or 80s on 8, you name it, we're jamming. Again, music is such a good way to unify each
Yeah.
other. You
Yeah.
turn that music on and we start tap dancing. I usually show them some basic taps like a shuffle, a flap, and then they start. And then after a few of these steps, they end up putting all of them together with me to a song. I always play some Ricky Nelson for my grandmother.
You imagine life without music.
I know. I've referenced it so much this interview, but I truly use it for so many things. And with my tap dancing at the nursing homes, oh, it's imperative. Whether we're warming up or I'm showing them a tap dance or they're tap dancing with me, there's music
Yeah.
on the whole time. And I think it just makes the environment feel so much more uplifting and exciting.
You spend so much time, Rebecca, but by the sounds of it, filling up everyone else's cup. I'm just curious when your cup begins to run a little low, because you are human at the end of the day, I think.
Mhm.
What do you do to help refill your own cup? Like when you just need a chance to relax or de-stress?
I'm a big animal lover, so to de-stress when I'm home, I am snuggling my fur baby Lola. She's my little kitty cat, and she gives the best snuggles, and she is exactly the four-legged friend I need to make me feel better. But I like to be busy, so a few times a year, I like to take spontaneous trips to Florida. Sometimes I'll do like a whole day trip, and I go and we just hit the theme parks, and then we come home in one day. Like we'll hit a 7 a.m. flight and like a 9 p.m. flight. And It is so fun. The adrenaline rush is crazy, and that's one of my favorite things to do if I don't have anything to do, and I can find a cheap flight.
Well, I still have trauma from my time in America with flights because I can't tell you how bad I've been to. I was speaking to the former Miss Virginia volunteer, and she said I think it was like 18 flights in 2 or 3 months, and
Yep.
17 of them had been late or cancelled, and the
Ooh.
final one in a row, and the final one was on time, but she got there and they'd lost her luggage. So after I mean, is that just a freak occurrence or is that normal? Because I was traumatized by my time trying to fly through America. Is
Wow.
Have you experienced anything like that, or is that just my bad luck?
I guess I'm lucky, but I have experienced like delays in flights and cancellations here and there, but I've never had anyone lose my luggage, thank goodness. But luckily, I have a lot of airports near me, whether I'm flying out of Pittsburgh or Baltimore. I have some variety, and I've
Right.
had some pretty good luck, and I always make it to my destination, thank goodness.
Knock on wood.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't.
when I do these day trips, sometimes I only have like a little backpack, so I'm
Yeah.
not like carrying too much luggage, which helps. But I love a good day trip to Universal Studios and drinking my little Gringotts drink in Harry Potter World. That's my favorite day.
They say pageant girls can't travel light. You can survive with just a backpack.
Oh yeah, definitely. The like free carry-on, I make that work when I can.
As long as it's a backpack and you're not taking on an entire suitcase, that seems to be something Americans do. It's like my carry-on is an entire suitcase, and then there's got no room in the overhead bins. Um, just before we move towards the close, Rebecca, because I've had you on for over an hour already. I
Wow.
mean, you've mentioned your team, your village, but another chance to just say thank you or give a shout out to anyone who's been supporting you along your journey.
It really takes a village, and I have so many people to thank, whether it's all my sponsors that followed me from Miss Frostburg Volunteer to Miss Maryland Volunteer, my mom, my stepdad, my dance teacher, Miss Amy, and Miss Nikki. I have so many people to be grateful for. I have to give a special shout out to my little princesses and their mom. I have three little girls that I mentor, and they are like family beyond the pageant world. They are stuck with me for life, and I am grateful that even as a state title holder, they're able to join me for appearances, and they are seriously one of my biggest cheerleaders. So I have to give them a special shout out. Lainey, River, and Willow. They are the best, but I honestly have so many people that have supported me, and I am grateful for it. And I just really hope I continue to make them proud this year and do everything I can to represent well.
Sure, you will, even if you accidentally snooze 3 times. I will.
Sometimes.
I will say the easiest solution to that is to put your phone on the other side of the room.
Oh,
So
I've heard of that, but that sounds so bad 'cause then I have to get up.
that's the point, isn't it? It's either that or get someone to rush into your room and throw cold water on your face. I mean, to me, putting
Oh,
the phone on the other side of the room is a less extreme option, but
yes.
it works. That's why it sounds unpleasant. Okay, let's go through the final 10. So,
Okay.
number one, what is your favorite word?
Ooh, love.
What is your least favorite word?
I'm not a picky eater, but I hate olives, so my least favorite word is olives.
Why do you hate olives?
I cannot stand the taste of them. I am seriously not a picky eater at all, but I cannot do olives, so that's my answer.
Okay. In life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
I love doing spontaneous trips to Universal.
What turns you off?
My alarm.
Can I just ask, what alarm sound do you have?
Oh, it's the that just repeats.
What sound or noise do you love?
Ooh, I love hearing my mom's voice.
What sound or noise do you hate? And don't say your alarm clock.
I know I won't do that to you. I hate when I hear the fire alarm. I live really close to a fire station. Every single time I hear that, I'm just always thinking of why is it going off?
Yeah.
Somebody's obviously needing that. So that's something I really do not love to hear. And then I always say a quick little prayer.
If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I would teleport. I could get to all my events so much faster.
What job other than your own would you most like to attempt?
I would love to be a character, a dancer, performer at Universal or Disney.
What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Any job where I'm not working with people, I would not want to attempt. Whether I'm a title holder or in class or at the studio teaching, I'm always with kids or other people. So a desk job where I'm not talking to people face to face would just not be for me.
Yeah, I can't really picture that working out very well for you or for the desk.
No.
Um, if heaven exists, final question, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would say I would like to hear that my people are waiting on me.
Well, Rebecca, it's been a blast getting to know you. Sounds like you've got a lot going on, and I think you've made a lot of people very, very proud. So thanks for coming on, and best of luck over the
Thank you
next
so
9 months.
much.
I'll be following your journey with a lot of interest. But thanks so much for coming
Yes.
on.
Yes, of course. Will you be at nationals again this year, I'm hoping?
You mean next year?
Yes, yes.
That's the plan. I can't believe it's already only 9 months
Yes.
away. But
That's so exciting.
it's so weird meeting people in person when you've talked to them for, an extended period
Mhm.
of time on this. And then they're like, "Hi, Adrian," and you turn around, it's like, and then there's that moment of, "Hang on, brain, please." It's very confusing when you see someone in person that you've never like you're meeting them for the first time,
Yeah.
but you know so much about them. I don't know if you've ever had that, but it's very, very
Oh,
weird. But
yeah.
yes, that's the plan
That's
at the
so
moment.
exciting. I'll have a button waiting for you.
Oh yeah, I have all my buttons behind that whiteboard. All the buttons from I
Aw.
had them all down. Everyone was pinning. I'm gonna have to start putting them on my back because there are
No,
so many.
seriously. You are all decked out with your bling.
Yeah, I think I have to get another tux as well.
I love that for
Anyway,
you.
that's enough about me. But thank you again for coming on, Rebecca. I'll keep you on the line for just a sec.
Yes.
Also, hang up with the audience. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will speak to you.